All in all, the true Christ, who speaks from the Mount of Olives in Matthew 24, knew that after his slaughter, his resurrection, his ascension and glorification, there would be his entrenchment. He knew it. He said it. He foretold it. And he ordered us to remember it, so that we might be edified and unmasked here. Today, diabolical works so that they may be shipwrecked by his power, by the power of the breath of his word. Moreover, the expression, let him who reads take heed, which we see in Matthew 24, verse 15, echoes to Daniel 12, verse 4, where Daniel, curious and intrigued by this entrenchment, questions the angel by asking him, I'd need to know a bit more. And the angel said, no, this prophecy doesn't concern you, Daniel. It concerns distant times. When the time comes, men and women will read it and knowledge will increase. For now, this prophecy is sealed. I pronounce God's unsealing on the prophecy of Matthew 24:15 and announce that this has now been achieved. Let's move on to the third and final fact of the return weather of the boss, the true Christ, of the true God. Matthew 24:24. They will come false prophets and false Christs. They will perform great miracles, even to the point of seducing elected representatives if possible. Two things. First, when we speak of false Christs, it's in the plural. So there have indeed been false Christs, just as there have been many men of sin, since even Genesis 6 shows us that the earth was infested with them by the time God decided to eradicate mankind in Noah's time. But the leader of the false Christ is called the Antichrist. Not just an Antichrist. And he's the one who's expressly, surgically targeted both by Paul in 2 Thessalonians 2, from verse 3 to verse 11, and by John the Apostle eyewitness, whom Jesus went to console on Patmos, even though he was excluded. Who could exclude John, one of the very first disciples, one of the very first apostles, one of the leaders of the Jerusalem school? Who could legitimately exclude him? Yet he testifies in Revelation 1:9 that because of the testimony of Jesus Christ, he had indeed had to pay the price. And then he found himself isolated, excluded on the island of Patmos, where Jesus, to show its preference, went. Jesus doesn't go to churches. He goes to Patmos, to John's prison, to congratulate him. And there he shows him, particularly chapters 2 and 3 of Revelation, where he denounces these churches. We are at the end of the first century. Regarding this false Christ, we're familiar with John 4:2-3. 2. John 1:7-11. We know that it is the seducer. Even if there are myriads of them, but he's the seducer. So the seducer in chief is the Antichrist. Even if there are several, since there are false Christs, Antichrists. But this one is the Antichrist. The one Paul, moreover, in the definite article, he speaks of the man of sin, the son of perdition, the adversary. Not that he claims that the true Christ would have only one adversary. He has always had millions of them. As far as false prophets are concerned, it would be superfluous to dwell on them, isn't it? Everyone can easily identify them through their ability to promote and soon to persist in promoting, whatever the cost, the false Christ, in flagrant violation, of revealed truth as it is in messianic prophecy, as it is in the promise structuring, governing the perpetual covenant by which we have become heirs of the kingdom and of Abraham's seed in accordance with Galatians chapter 3 verse 29 and Acts 3:25. What can I say? We can indicate for all practical purposes that the true Christ himself aimed, targeted, and equipped humanity, warning her of the weather, of the distinctive and concomitant facts that will characterize his return. He set out these facts. 3 major events. They are the fact that in Matthew 24 verse 37, we have the situation at the time of Noah. This has been examined, that we have the same situation. The prophecy in Daniel chapter 9 verses 24 to 27 reveals the cutting off of the Messiah, the true one. We know when, we know by whom, we know how, and we are capable. Thanks to the 3 keys of Moses in Deuteronomy 18:15. Thanks to John in the text mentioned above, or in 1 John 4:2-3, 2 John 1:7-11. And thanks to Paul through 2 Thessalonians 2:3-4. We know and can affirm this with a full assurance, with certainty. Besides, aren't you intrigued by the fact that in the review of these churches in Revelation 2 and 3, the only one to have won the vote of the true Christ is the one in which he says things that should have questioned ourselves. He says the following in verse 8 of Revelation 3. I know your works because you have little power, but you have kept my word and not denied my name. I place before you an open door, and you have not denied my name. John 1 verse 1 declares, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. While Revelation 19 verse 13 further declares that his name, that is the name of the true Christ, is the Word of God. Under these conditions, deny the name of the Messiah, Yeshua, or not keep his word, we dare to believe, thanks to this presentation, that it's starting to become clear in your minds